Hello, my name is Maya Petranova. The following 20 slides consist of information describing contemporary and professional concerns related to developing an academic website. The presentation represents some of the main laws and ethical issues in Europe, primarily United Kingdom, related to the project. Freedom of Information Act gives public access to information held by public authorities, such as government departments, NHS and schools. There are two ways of doing this. Public authorities publish information about their activities, or members of the public are entitled to request information about those authorities. Accessible web content should be part of every web design cycle. Those features need to be well implemented in the design process. Testing for accessibility is important, and should be made before the website is published on the internet and available to the public. Designing for accessibility is as much a strategic as a purely technical one. By accessible web design is meant that even if the site is accessed by people with disabilities, it will still offer the same functionality as normal. The site content is not required to be limited to plain text and no images. Even the sophisticated and innovative content can be made accessible, thanks to WCAG. W3C is an abbreviation of World Wide Web Consortium. They provide the service for HTML and XHTML markup validation. It allows developers and users to check different pages of a website and ensure of the technical quality. The validation is important for site browser compatibility and usability. Web content accessibility guidelines lies down on 4 principles. First, perceivable content. The information should be presented in a way that is perceivable not only from one sense. Content should be presented in various ways, so that the user can see and hear the content also, by separating foreground from background. Second, operable. User must easily operate and navigate the website. Even being unable to use the mouse, the keyboard should be an alternative. Third, understandable, readable content with predictable appearance and operation. Fourth, robust. While the website should not require the usage of assistive technologies, it has to offer the ability to do so. SENDO is Special Educational Needs and Disability Act. It establishes legal rights for students with disabilities. SENDO helps them to be equally integrated as any other student in areas such as education and other sectors designated mainly for students. The Data Protection Act regulates the distribution of personal information used by the government, businesses, organizations and similar authorities. People from those sectors are responsible for keeping the data safe and not transferring it outside the European Economic Area without the sufficient protection. Websites must hold to this legislation. When creating a website that collects and stores information of other users, the developers must disclose certain piece of information in the form of privacy policy. Generally, users must be advised who would be using their information. Also, they have to know if cookies are used or not. Cryptography and electronic signatures are important for electronic transactions. The Electronic Communications Act has 2 main parts: to regulate the provision of cryptography services, and to confirm the legal status of electronic signatures. The main purpose of the legislation is to help build confidence in electronic commerce and technology. An electronic signature is equivalent to a written signature. They exist in different forms, such as scanned, typewritten, digital and unique representation of characters. For instance, fingerprint or retina. Depending on its purpose, they are divided into 3 groups: simple, advanced and qualified signatures. Intellectual property is a right that people have to apply for. It is divided into 4 sectors: copyright, designs, patents and trademarks. People have intellectual property only if they own or created the product, which must meet all requirements of intellectual property ownership. People can also buy the rights from a former owner or designer. Faculty members might have full ownership of their website, unless it contains a great amount of computing resources. Otherwise, the faculty members are being asked to either decrease the resources usage, or move the website from university to commercial service provider. There is a chance of joint ownership agreement option. Copyright statement is a form of notice, providing an authoritative and authentic point of reference. It is an automatic right without any official details needed to acquire copyright protection. The service is aimed mostly at small and medium-sized enterprises, which do not have an access to expert legal advice. Patent is protecting your invention. It allows you to take legal act against anyone who uses, makes, imports or sells it, without your permission. Patents are given only to something invented, new, can be made or used. They are expensive and the hardest form of protection to get. Another way of protecting an intellectual property is design right. It is concentrated more on the look, rather than the functionality of the product. After you prove the creation of your work, by presenting of own design drawings and photos, you can protect the design for 10 years after the product was sold, or 15 years after it was created. Trademark is designed to protect a new created brand. It mainly concerns the name. It allows its owner to take legal actions against someone who is using it. A registered trademark lasts for 10 years, and the registration process takes up to 4 months. There is different legislation applied if the owner wants to register the brand overseas. Risk management is a process of identification, either acceptance or rejection of uncertainty and decision-making. It occurs any time when an individual attempts to calculate the potential loss and takes appropriate action. Inadequate risk management might lead to bad consequences for companies or individuals. There are many important ethical and legal aspects that need to be considered before building a website. Thank you for watching this presentation on ethics and contemporary issues upon building an academic's website. I hope it was beneficial for you, and you've learned something new.